Kurt Vonnegut's 1969 postmodern satire Slaughterhouse-Five prefaces with multiple anecdotes from his life before the plot of this historical fiction unfolds. In this preface, Vonnegut explains his reasoning for writing what he refers to as his Little Dresden book, as well as what he is trying to argue and how. Kurt Vonnegut fought in World War II and was a prisoner of war in the city of Dresden. There, he experienced and survived the bombing of Dresden, committed by the Allies, and the firestorm that ensued on the destroyed city. Because of his experience with the war and seeing the horrors firsthand, he decides to write this anti-war novel. However, he experiences immense writer's block due to his anti-war stance and his fear of romanticizing such tragedies. To compensate for this, Vonnegut writes a satirical, dark humor, irony-filled war story titled Slaughterhouse-Five, or The Children's Crusade, a duty dance with death, since he writes this amidst the Vietnam War to spread the notion that all war is bad, no matter the cause for which you are fighting, because at the end of the day, there is nothing intelligent to say about a massacre. As the plot of this story begins, the reader is introduced to the protagonist, Billy Pilgrim, who has become unstuck in time. Billy went to bed an old widower and awoke years before to his wedding day, because Billy is able to, with no control, time travel to different periods in his life, illustrating that this novel lacks a linear plot. Rather, it is cyclical in nature. Billy is drafted into the army during World War II at the ripe age of 21. While fighting in the Battle of the Bulge, Billy experiences time travel for the first time. Billy becomes unstuck in time and lives his entire life beginning to end in one clear moment. Moments later, Billy and one of his fellow soldiers, Roland Weary, who is obsessed with being remembered as a war hero, are captured by the Germans and are taken as prisoners of war to a German camp. At this camp full of Allied prisoners, Billy becomes hysterical and is given a shot of morphine, which prompts more of his time travel, which intertwines, repeats, and introduces new plot lines. After spending some time in this camp, Billy, along with other POWs, are transferred to a slaughterhouse in the city of Dresden, a civilian city which has virtually avoided any aspects of the brutal war. While in Dresden, the POWs such as Billy and old Edgar Derby, a patriotic and brave old soldier, perform various labor tasks for the Germans until one fateful day. Allied forces, unprompted, bombed this innocent city, incinerating around 130,000 civilians. Fortunately, Billy and the other POWs secured in the meat locker survived these aerial attacks and the subsequent firestorms. While being ordered by German soldiers to go through the rubble and get rid of the dead bodies from the bombing, Edgar Derby is caught stealing a teapot, resulting in him ironically being accused, tried, and charged for his crimes, resulting in his execution by firing squad days after the massacre. Home from the war, Billy goes on with his life. He becomes married and finishes optometry school. However, the trauma from the war does not escape him. Billy admits himself after undergoing what is assumed to be a PTSD episode. In his stay, he meets science fiction author Kilgore Trout, who writes stories eerily similar to what Billy experiences and even seems to understand his events of being unstuck in time. After treatment, Billy experiences a panic attack when a song triggers a memory of Dresden, emphasizing the everlasting detrimental effects of war. Billy later reveals to the world via radio station that he has been a victim of an abduction. Billy insists that he has been abducted by aliens known as Trophimodors and taken to their planet of Trophimodor, where he was placed in a human zoo to mate with a porn star actress named Montana Wildak. During his time on Trophimodor, he impregnates Montana and learns the fatalist beliefs and perceptions of time of the Trophimodorians. Time is not linear. When someone dies, they are alive and experiencing life in a different moment of time. With this notion, the past is never forgotten. It occurs simultaneously. Once returning home from Trophimodor with only seconds having passed, Billy gets on a plane for a conference and crashes in the mountains. On her way to visit him in the hospital, his wife Valencia gets in a car crash and dies from carbon monoxide poisoning. Through all of his experiences and despite his daughter's pleas, Billy decides to spread his knowledge of time and what he has learned from the Trophimodorians so that the world may exit the dark.